Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Rick Henn with Portal Solutions, and I want to welcome you to our webinar this morning, Mobile SharePoint Essentials, How to Deliver Real Value to Your Mobile Workforce. So we're pleased that everyone could join this morning on a snowy and wintry day here in Washington. So today we've got a great session talking about mobile, SharePoint, Office 365, and how it all comes together. Our guest today is David Lavendra from Harmony. He's the VP of Product Strategy, a Fast Company contributor, and a specialist in information overload. We're very pleased to have David with us today. My name is Rick Hinton, and here at Portal Solutions, I head the Products and Solutions Group. So I focus on building industry-specific and business process-focused applications that run on the SharePoint platform, including Office 365. Our next product release is going to focus on a task management and project reporting solution, and what we think is really going to be a game changer in the SharePoint space. So stay tuned for that. So today our focus is on mobile solutions and approaches in the context of your SharePoint, Office 365, and Yammer deployments. So we'll talk about the application of mobile strategies in the enterprise and dive deeper into specific use cases that we hope many of you will find familiar. And David's going to take us through a live demo of the Harmony solution, and we'll finally wrap up with QA towards the end of the session. So before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. Obviously, if you have questions throughout the session, please input those in the question submission box that you'll find on the right-hand side of the screen. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. So we talk a good bit here at Portal Solutions about the digital workplace, and I'm sure you've also seen the term used more frequently in the last year or so. So we thought we'd start with the definition of the workplace digital workplace as we see it. So we define it as an environment where employees are able to quickly and easily share what they know, find what they need, with consistent experiences across devices and locations. So really, in a nutshell, it's helping make work easier, right? So that's the essence of what we're talking about here. So it's, in our view, how you do that is one is an intense focus on user experience, and more specifically, what we like to continually reinforce is the employee experience. So what is germane to this discussion is it's not just about devices. The advent of BYOD has already arrived and is alive and well, but it's beyond devices. So it's the entire user experience. So what is the impact if you don't get the employee experiences right? So that's a lot of what we're going to cover today. What is the impact? So if you look at things like employee engagement, so you may have seen some of these studies around that Gallup and other organizations do, that basically 70% of employees are either not engaged or basically totally disengaged. So they're basically showing up and probably not doing that on a regular basis. So really, what are some of the impacts of or drivers of this disengagement that are related to our discussion today? So one of the drivers of that 70% figure is the available of resources to perform well. So if you think about it, desktop, what are the tools that individual employees have access to? So now you take them out of the workplace and have them on the road traveling, that tends to exacerbate the situation. So availability of resources is one of the drivers that came out of the research. Same theme, freedom from obstacles from work, for success at work. So again, the mobile situation makes that even more of a challenge. So if you think about the mobile use case in particular and the advent of organizations that offer flexible work arrangements, this particular study from Society of Human Resources noted that 2/3 of organizations reported that flexible work arrangements had a positive impact on employee engagement and morale. So that's great. So you have employees, flexible work arrangements, but what we've seen is the challenge is the ability to do more through mobile devices, and that's the reason for our discussion here today. So if you look at what people actually do, so this study is from the McKinsey Global Institute, and it took a look at how people, how they allocated their average work week. And if you look at the resource, and you look at the role-specific task, which is the fourth line item, you look at that and say 39% of their time is on task, which is great. But if you think about that, that's not even 50% of their time. And if you look above the line, you see at the very top there that 28% are reading and answering emails. So really, from an organizational perspective, what you want to do is start to flip that such that you're getting people out of reading and answering emails, searching and gathering information, and allowing more time on those role-specific tasks. So when we think about the digital workplace, this is what we think about, flipping that scenario such that you're getting out of email as your main means of tracking tasks, of sharing documents, and also having the flexibility to do more things via mobile device. So if you think about the way organizations basically use tools to manage content and communications, we'd like to lay it out in a bit of a matrix. So if you look at your particular organization down, starting from the individual to the team to the enterprise, along the bottom axis there, that's the kind of audience that we like to talk about. And then the type of content that organizations and individuals within your organization have access to. And if you kind of put those across and then overlay the actual tools they have available to them, I mean, current state scenario for a lot of organizations is email covers a lot of that territory, from individual to mass communications to permanent documents and temporary communication. So the reality of using instant messaging and email is kind of the combination of things that most organizations are using primarily in terms of a current state. Future state, which we see is kind of the where you go with the digital workplace, is shrinking the share of activities around email and using that as a communication medium, which is really what it was intended for, and then looking to use a whole complement of tools from social to online storage, collaboration, team sites, and of course you see across the bottom there documents and document management. So what we're saying here is, and this is where kind of the strategy and the approach comes in, how do you make all of these tools really a kind of consistent user experience? So a lot of what David's going to talk about today is really that bottom piece. So how do you, accessing this environment using a mobile device, how can you be more effective at managing documents, for example? There's a lot of our clients are very document intensive. They're typically consulting firms, professional services firms, knowledge-based workers, and the whole document management piece is a real big issue. So when we think about the overall digital workplace strategy, there's kind of 4 buckets that we kind of have our customers focus in on from a strategy and approach point of view. And we'll revisit these 4 categories later in the presentation to kind of put some context around our conversation. So if you think of these, we call them the 4 C's, and we see these as the 4 critical areas that you need to get right in order to get to that kind of ideal digital workplace future state. So content, it's pretty clear. So organizing your content, making it accessible and making it shareable. Collaboration piece, also pretty straightforward in terms of connecting teams, connecting individuals. One of the key things there that we talk a lot about is minimizing distraction. So it's great to have all these wonderful tools connecting people, but if the end result is constant interruptions, then that's kind of a suboptimal. The other two, communication and context. So communication refers to, if you think of from a corporate intranet perspective, how can you implement internal communication strategies via a platform like this? And the final one is context. So knowing who your individuals are, what their jobs are. So organizing and kind of building these solutions around specific user context. And of course, the context we're talking about today is a mobile employee. So if you pull all those four things together, two things come out of it that in terms of linking all of them together. One is mobility, that you got to get right, and the other is workflow. In other words, understanding that everything has some sort of workflow attached with it. So that's what we're going to wrap up at the end of the session. And then the other thing I wanted to hit on quickly before we pass over to David and go through the Harmony piece is another thing to think about is the potential impact. So when you're having these conversations, you obviously, there's a business case to be made. I will go through all these in the interest of time. We will share the deck afterwards. But we like to use this business impact slide and this approach in terms of helping organizations make the business case for collaboration solutions and of course for mobile solutions like we're going to talk about with Harmony. So that is our portion, the Core Solutions portion of the presentation. I'm going to turn it over to David now and take us through the great stuff that Harmony's working on. So David, let me hand the controls over to you, and it's all yours.
Okay. Okay. So thanks a lot, Rick. As you said, my name is David Lavendow from Vice President of Product Strategy at Harmony. So Rick talked a lot about some of the challenges and some of the opportunities available in the new digital workplace. And one of the things that we saw earlier in the survey results was that very few people are actually doing anything that's related to their specific role at work on mobile devices. So there seems to be somewhat of a disconnect. I mean, there's a lot of people talking about bring your own device, and it's really yesterday's news. This was actually from a Gartner presentation from a couple months ago, because most organizations have already adopted a bring your own device program or some sort of BYO program. And it's in terms of numbers, the latest Gartner numbers show that actually only 10% of organizations say they will not do any sort of bring your own device program. So the fact is that everyone's got these things. So where is the where is the in fact, and other Gartner numbers show that over 60% of employees are using a personal device for work. Right, so people have bought these devices, or they've been given their devices by their places of work, and they're doing something. But what exactly are they able to do? So how do we reconcile those numbers we saw before about how little people are able to do with mobile devices with this high number of use for mobile availability of smartphones and tablets? So what it ends up is that, as Rick showed, most companies, what they offer employees today to work from remotely is basically email and calendaring, maybe contacts. And the question is that when we think about the digital workplace or what we call the mobile enterprise, it's really not about just providing people with smartphones and tablets. It's really the concept of working anytime, anywhere. So it could be from a desktop computer, a laptop, a tablet, a phone, sometimes even a kiosk. The focus is not really on the device per se, but on the mode of operation, the mode of work that organizations afford their employees through the different devices. And today, it's pretty much limited to to email and calendaring specifically on the mobile devices. And the question is why? Why is it that over 60% of organizations already have these programs providing people with devices, expensive devices, and yet they're not able to do very much with it? And I think it comes down to really three main reasons. One of them is device provisioning, the idea that it's very difficult today to control what is actually on somebody's mobile device from a central IT perspective. So that pushing out applications, making sure that only official applications or sanctioned applications are used, and being able to wipe devices clean. This is still in its early stages, and although there is a lot of work being done specifically in the mobile device management arena around the called the MDM space, it's still a lot of organizations have not yet got a defined program in place. The second is security. So as happened with the PC many years ago, the devices have become available first. Applications, some pieces of utility become available, and security comes as an afterthought in many cases. So as organizations try and get their security in place, there's not really a lot to do until that actually happens. And the third reason is not disconnected from the first two, is that there's really a lack of good enterprise-grade applications today. So there's not really much you can do with these devices at the current time with enterprise-grade applications. Yet on the other hand, people need to work. So you've given these people really powerful, what amounts to mobile computing platforms. You put them in their hands, and then you don't really give them much to do with it, but they have to get their work done. And what that work often entails is, to paraphrase Napoleon, an organization travels on its documents. So when people work in companies, most of the work involves some sort of use of documents, whether it's working on contract negotiations or project plans, blueprints, Excel sheets, all sorts of documents that have to be worked on by multiple people. Those really are the linchpin of enterprise work. And today there's really no way to do that. Companies don't afford a way of people to do that on mobile devices. So if they don't have any way to do that, what are they doing? Because they actually do need to work. So what they're doing is they're going rogue. They're going rogue in a big way. And what that means is they're turning to consumer-grade cloud services and consumer applications to get their work done. Case in point, a survey that was done back in September by USAMP looked at the use of mobile business users' rogue IT practices, and almost half, a full 41% of information workers admitted to using an unapproved cloud service for document or file storage or sync in the last 6 months. So that's an enormously high number. In fact, according to the survey also, almost 90% of those people admitted to knowing that this was against company policy. So think about the lengths that people go to. They know it's not, they shouldn't be doing it, and yet they're still willing to risk using these unsanctioned services, things like Dropbox, to share documents, because that is how great the need is to be able to share documents and work on those with people in different remote locations. So of those 41%, the survey also found that over a quarter of them reported almost immediate consequences from sharing or storing documents in a public cloud, from everything from simply losing business or leaking information to competitors to litigation, all the way to financial damages. In fact, according to the study, an average case that was reported, the average amount of cost per incident was about $10,000, and some of them were actually quite a bit higher than that. So the risk is quite high, and yet people continue to use these consumer-grade cloud services. And the study also looked at the overall cost and estimated that the cost was almost $2 billion for the cost of rogue IT. Again, the idea that people going outside the rules and regulations of the company to use unsanctioned services to get their job done. And this really begs the question because, the companies, almost 80% of companies have already invested in Office 365 and SharePoint. So there actually is already a mechanism to share and work and collaborate on documents together with people in place in the company, yet there's really no way to extend that out to mobile really in a friendly way. So, one of the things we find in general about SharePoint, not specifically related to mobile, is that almost 80%, as I said, of Fortune 500 companies already have SharePoint. And just a little over 10% of end users use it on a daily basis for document sharing. So there's an enormous gap between the availability of SharePoint in organizations and its actual usage. And this, again, this is not specifically related to a mobile scenario. So just in general, there's a big gap in terms of how much SharePoint is being used. And Forrester did a study earlier in back in 2013, looking at what it was about SharePoint. They called it SharePoint awkward teenage years, SharePoint being just about 13 years old as a product. And they looked at three major reasons or three major drawbacks or limitations in terms of the overall SharePoint experience. So one of them was an uninspired user experience. This is one of the reasons they accounted for low user adoption. So a very difficult way to manipulate documents through a web browser experience was reason number one. Number two was the connection to the business value. So having a direct connection to being able to do things like record management, knowledge management, social engagement, and so on. In most cases, or in many cases, the use of SharePoint or the implementation of SharePoint is focused more on some of the technical aspects and less on the business value, and that accounts for low adoption because people don't like to change what they're doing unless they feel that there's a compelling reason to do so, as well as an easy way to get the job done. And the third reason was related to mobile access. And we come back to what we were talking about before, is that there's really no way to easily access these documents on SharePoint directly from a mobile device. So these three things in general are impacting SharePoint adoption, and certainly so on the mobile front. So the question is, what can we do about this? Because we've got a document management and a collaboration system in place that's been paid for, and actually a huge investment has been made in it. And yet people aren't really using it. They're not using it on the desktop, and they're certainly not using it on the mobile device. And the cost we saw before of going outside of using SharePoint and using alternatives, consumer alternatives, is enormous. Even just besides the cost of the actual services, the risks associated with data leakage, inability to find documents later on for audit purposes, for compliance, governance, it's really a nightmare for IT. So the question is how do we actually bring this all in line without having to roll out something which is another massive project? And that's really where Harmony comes in. Because what Harmony does is it brings SharePoint Office 365 and now Yammer into a single screen experience wherever you work. So it's either on the desktop, on the mobile device, even on a kiosk, Outlook web app. We have a ability to have a consistent user experience and an easy way to share documents and collaborate with colleagues without really having to learn a new user interface, all within a single window, single work context. So how does that work? Basically, what you have a number of collaboration tools that you work with. So you see here on the rim of the circle, things like Link and the telephone and Outlook, Office 365, SharePoint, SkyDrive Pro, Yammer, Calendar, and Task List. And certainly on the mobile environment, every one of these is a separate app. So if you want, you use these products, you should be using these products in concert to focus on the task at hand, whether that task is working on a contract with a colleague, whether it's updating project plans, specifications, reports. it's a very difficult experience when you have to share a document with one application, then close it, open it up, and type a message in another application to a colleague, then close that, open up email, type a message, and then close that. That experience of toggling, if you will, between applications is one that causes people just to drop off. It's way too complicated. They're looking for easy solutions, so they end up turning to consumer cloud applications. So what Harmony does is it takes all those applications that you work with and brings them into a single screen experience, so that all the tools appear within the context of the task that you're trying to do, which is working together with colleagues, as opposed to having to open, copy information, paste it in another application. And we'll see that in just a moment. We'll show a demonstration of a number of people working together on a collaboration scenario, and you'll see how this actually plays out. And this concept of all the collaboration apps in a single screen everywhere you work is really the vision for the mobile enterprise. Again, the mobile enterprise is not about mobile devices. It's really about working any place, anytime. And what a great example for today, when there's lots of folks stuck at home in a snowstorm and not able to work, that you're working either from a mobile device. Some people may even be working directly from a phone today or a tablet because they're not able to get into the office. This just is a perfect example of what the mobile enterprise is about. So being able to work under any conditions at any time. So what Harmony brings is a number of products that provide the consistent user experience. So in the office, it's in Outlook as a sidebar. On the road, it could be either a tablet or a mobile app that runs on all the popular mobile operating systems. And for those folks who don't have either of those, there's also a kiosk version that runs in Outlook web app. And we'll see examples of using all of these products in an upcoming demo that we're going to look at now. Just before we get to that, a brief word about the different products that we have. So there's what we call Harmony Mobile. There's today 3 flavors of that. There's Android, iOS for both iPad and the iPhone, as well as the BlackBerry 10, and there will be a Windows version coming later this quarter. Now, I talked before about one of the challenges associated with being able to use applications on a mobile platform. So we have partnered together with all the leading MDM vendors, Good Technology, AirWatch, Citrix, Samsung Knox, and MobileIron, to work together with them. Our products are certified to run on top of these security MDM solutions. So whatever product MDM solution that you have or you choose to use, you can rest assured that Harmony has been certified to work together with them. So we looked at the mobile product. There's also, as I mentioned, a product that runs in Outlook. So looking at the screen, and we'll see a live example of this in a moment, you'll see the Outlook window on the screen, and in the red rectangle to the right, you'll see the Harmony sidebar. So it's a very convenient way to have a view into SharePoint directly in the place where you spend most of your workday, which is email. And there's very nice drag and drop capability, as well as presence awareness, as you see on the screen here, the colored dots. So you can also tie into Link and be able to reach out to people directly from the context of either social updates or from documents that you may be working on together. And the third flavor of Harmony is the cloud experience. It's actually a new product that we've just added the Yammer support for this in the last month or so. And this is a product that runs as a contextual widget inside of Outlook web app. So you can use this from anybody's computer in a secure fashion, and again, have the same smooth, consistent user experience wherever you are. So what we're going to do now is take a few moments to do a live demo of Harmony. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this by the demo scenario we're going to be showing is a company called Ravenwood. And a number of employees are working on contract negotiations using Office 365, SharePoint, and Yammer. So our first colleague is going to be, our first collaborator is Deborah, and she is going to be working on her iPad and on her computer using Harmony Mobile and Harmony Email. So we're going to show a real-life scenario of people working on the different devices and things they can do from each of these devices. Annie, who's going to be on vacation and doesn't have access to any of her equipment, is going to be working from Harmony OWA, the Outlook web app, so that she's able to work directly from her friend's computer in a secure fashion. And our third collaborator is Kathleen, who is going to be working from her iPhone using Harmony Mobile to make some changes to documents directly from her iPhone. Okay, so we'll just switch over here for a moment. Okay, so you should right now see my my iPad screen, and I'm going to be playing the part. I'm going to start out by playing the part of Deborah. So Deborah is our first collaborator. She's working at Ravenwood, and she's going to be the project lead on this this project that we're working on. And Deborah decides to stop off at the coffee shop because it's not snowing in Deborah's world on the way to work today, so that everything is open and everyone can get to where they're going. Deborah stops off at the coffee shop and she orders her double macchiato, and while she's waiting, she opens up her iPad to check her email. So in her email, she sees that there's a message from one of from one of the a company that sent over a contract. And you see that it says that there's a draft of the contract proposal, and our team she wants the team to review this by the end of the week. And there's a email, there's a document attachment to that. So Deborah realizes how urgent this is and how she's got to get started. So instead of just rushing off, forgetting her coffee on the counter and going to the office and getting started, she realizes that she can get started directly from where she is. So all she simply does is she clicks on the document and decides to open it in Harmony, and now she's able in one step to take that document and upload it to Office 365 or SharePoint, either in the cloud or on premise, by just opening up Harmony and deciding where to save the document to. So she's going to save it to the Sales folder here, and I'm just going to click on the button on the side, and you'll see that the document is actually being uploaded as we speak. And as the document is being uploaded, I see that I have to supply a number of pieces of information that are expressed by document properties, or in SharePoint language as metadata. So one of the important things that Harmony allows people to do is to use the metadata as it was intended, and that is to be able to specify and classify documents accurately so that they can be found later for audit and discovery purposes. And this is one of the reasons, again, going back to Forrester's observation, that people don't see business value in SharePoint. And a lot of times it's because if you just want to upload or store a document in SharePoint, what ends up happening is you store it somewhere, nobody can find it later when you need it, and it turns into a document graveyard. So by helping people specify the required metadata as part of the upload process, this actually becomes a valuable tool to allow people to classify the documents. So I'm going to give the account name. The company name was a Coherent, so I'm going to select that from the list. I'm not going to change all the other metadata, which has all default values, and I'll leave it as it is. But now I can save the document, upload it, and share it. And I just want to take a look at it, so I'm going to check the document in. But before I send it off and let my colleagues know that they need to start working on it, I just want to open it and just take a look and see what needs to be done. So there's a number of things that I could do here. I could either reach out to colleagues through email or through telephone and contact them. But before I do that, I want to look at the document. So I'm going to click on the icon at the bottom and open the document with Office Web Apps. So It asks me if I want to check out the document, which I do. And again, I didn't have to switch from let's just take stock of where we are. We started with email. I uploaded the document to SharePoint. Now I'm editing the document in Office web apps, and yet I haven't had to close and then open another application. I haven't had to cut information and paste it in another application. It's all one smooth flowing process, focusing on the task at hand, which is getting the document into the system and now sharing it with other people. So I see that the document has been made out to the wrong company name, so I'm going to just make a quick change here and change the purchaser name to the company name and save the document by just doing File, Exit. And you see this is a very smooth process, and it's the Microsoft web app, which is very familiar to Word users. It's an identical user experience. So what I'm going to do is now check the document in so that other people can work on it. And basically what I want to do now is I want to let other folks know that they should start working on the document. So again, within Harmony, again, I still haven't had to hop from other applications. I go and look at the update stream. And the update stream is really an activity stream of all the activities, both document-related and socially related in SharePoint, plus now with Yammer updates and microblogging conversations embedded in this as well. So I see that the first message here came from my from my boss, who's saying that David from the Coherent will be sending over the contract. Please alert the team to be ready to comment. Well, I've already seen this document come in, so I'm going to respond to Sam's announcement. And you see at the bottom left corner of this update, there's a little Yammer symbol. So we're looking now at the Yammer update. So this is actually an update coming directly from Yammer. So if I click on that update, I can reply directly to this. So I say, team, document is here. Please start commenting. And then I send that off. So my team will now see two updates. Update number one will be me checking the document in their activity stream in Harmony, and the second update will be me announcing that that they have to start working on the document. So now by now my coffee has been served. It's actually getting a little bit cold, so I'm going to go back to drinking that coffee and shut down my iPad, take the coffee, and head off to work. But while all that's happening, my team can already start working on the project without having to wait for me. So I'm going to close my computer. I'm going to close my iPad, and now switch over to Drive to Work. Assume that I've now driven to work, and now I sit down at my desk, and now I'm opening my laptop, and now I'm going to start working from email from my Outlook window. So you can see now that I sat down, I opened up my computer. This is my Outlook window. You can see that on the right side of the screen, there's my Harmony window. So again, the same user experience that I had on the mobile device, the same format, the same icons, the same presentation of information appears on the right side of the screen. I'm going to look at my update from that I see here, and again, very similar to what I had on my mobile device. I see that Annie Tucker had added the I see actually that Kathleen has already updated the document in Sales. So it looks like Kathleen was already been able to get ahead. Maybe we'll take a look in Yammer first, and we see that Deborah has. Okay, so I see my own comment here, and just go back. So I see that in the meantime, Kathleen has also been able to make some comments. So while I was driving in, Kathleen, who logged in from her iPhone, had made some changes to that contract. So the team is off and running. Everybody's working on the document. And the next thing I want to do is I want to let Annie know. So Annie is our legal person, and she needs to weigh in on this. And so I'm going to, actually before I do that, let me go back to Yammer for a second and make a comment to Kathleen that to make sure that she not only looks at her at the document, but also gives some weighs in a bit on the extension clause that we're all worried about on this this contract, so that she knows to make some changes to that. So while Kathleen might be working on it, I'm also going to send this over to Annie. Annie's our legal person, and Annie it's very important that she weighs in on the document. But you know what? I just remembered Annie's on vacation, and we gave her strict instructions not to take her computer or any of her mobile devices with her. But how are we going to update her and let her know that she needs to work on this document? She's not really she's not a Yammer user yet, but I know that she'll be checking her email every day or so. So let's send her a quick email and tell her that she has to, although she's on vacation and we promised her there wouldn't be anything to do, she's going to have to work on the document and give her approval before the end of the week and make her comments, because we need to get this back and hand it in. So what we can do is we're going to just make those comments and drag the document in from Harmony and not have to send an attachment, but just drag that document directly into Harmony, and we'll send the link, and then we send it off to Annie. Okay? So we send that off to Annie, and now we're going to pretend that we're at Annie. She's out in the ski slopes. She actually probably didn't have to go very far to go skiing today, but she left last week, so she's already out on the slopes. And she doesn't have a computer, as I said, so she logs into Office Outlook web app through her friend's computer. And there on the right side of the screen, you'll see she got the document with the link, and there's a Harmony plugin also for OWA. So she also is able to access Harmony directly from here. And she looks at the people conversations, and she is also able to see the same discussion that all the other people saw on the other platforms, and she can make her after she edits the document, make her comments as well, and participate in the collaboration process. So, what we've seen in just a few moments is how Harmony brings together, really for the first time, document sharing and social collaboration in a single screen, so you can focus on the task at hand and not have to focus on all the collaboration tools. You notice that workers don't have to change context to get work done, and that's super important, because we know that, of course, changing people's work habits and making them work on a lot of different applications is something that causes them not to adopt products. And this is, one of the reasons that, according to Forrester, people have not been adopting SharePoint. In fact, while we're talking about SharePoint, there's a very nice report that actually mentions Harmony as building tools to bridge environments to facilitate the use of SharePoint and make it more accessible. And this is really a key way of making that happen. Just another quick thing, Gartner has also recognized Harmony as a key collaboration, mobile collaboration client company, together with some of these other illustrious names, as somebody who's bringing those mobile applications from all the different applications and different pieces into a single screen experience. So with that, maybe I turn this back over to Rick, and we'll look at some of the poll results.
Great, David. Thanks. Appreciate it. Good stuff. So let's take a quick look at the poll results. And I'll just, let me pull them up. So the first question was about the use of unapproved cloud services. So the interesting thing, David, is 40. It's basically 41% have used one of these services between 1 and 10 times. So that would seemingly jive pretty well with the research you quoted, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. In fact, that's
spot on.
Yeah, that's spot on the number we found in the survey we ran.
Interesting. So we get some consistency there. So the next question was about the let me pull that. Describe your SharePoint adoption in the enterprise. So 50% indicated about what we expected, and 31% was below expectations. So that's pretty consistent with the research we've seen as well. But still, you're looking at a third of organizations that it's below expectations. So that's obviously a red flag. So I think that the Forrester research you quoted, I think, is pretty on point in terms of the combination of user experience, business value, and of course mobile access, what we're talking about today. I suspect if we ask more questions around those three areas, we'd probably see some consistent themes there. So let's see, we have about a little over 10 minutes right now. Let's go to David. Let's go to a quick discussion around the 4 areas that we kind of teed up earlier, and just a comment on your demo and kind of what you showed, and our own personal experience. I mean, we've been here at Port Solutions have been using Harmony for probably 2 or 3 years now, and one of the things that we've found, and also when we've recommended it into our customers, that it really does get after behavioral change. Because I talked earlier about getting out of email and using appropriate devices for appropriate activities and communication. But the reality is that the majority of organizations are still using email. So what we've found, and I'd be curious to hear what else you've seen in terms of your real experience, David, with your customers, is that integration with the desktop and being able to just drag and drop documents out of emails into SharePoint library. That alone has really enabled us to make sure that literally all of our documents are up in SharePoint, and at that point, you're much better able to actually do this mobile collaboration that you showed us in the demo. So is that, in terms of the helping behavioral change, David, is that something you've seen in your customer base?
Yeah, absolutely. So being able to allow the drag and drop. In fact, there's also with Harmony on the desktop, if you try and send an attachment, you can be prompted automatically to upload the document. So even for people who don't want to do any sort of change in behavior, they can be wooed into working with SharePoint without having to do anything differently. But that's really only the beginning part, because the ability to enforce metadata, filling out metadata, the ability to reach out to other people. So while that initial part of getting people going by dragging and dropping and enforcing the metadata completion is the part that gets them started and gets them hooked, what it really turns out afterwards is that people discover the power of being able to do all the collaboration in a single screen, whether it's on the desktop or whether it's on the mobile device.
Right. So the desktop is kind of your gateway drug, if you will.
Depending on where you start. I mean, I guess you have to choose your drug. But there's a lot of folks who who are primarily mobile remote workers, and for them, there's really no way to be able to get SharePoint documents in an easy way and be able to work with them. So for them, it's a godsend that there's ability to work on it on their tablets where they had nothing before. So
Right.
there's different entry points, but the ability to reduce the amount of behavior change is absolutely what's driving the adoption of SharePoint with using Harmony.
Okay, wonderful. Sounds good. So we've got a few questions, Dave. So in the interest of time, let's go ahead and jump into those. Jenny, do you have the questions there in front of you that you could take us through?
I sure do. Looks like we have actually some great questions coming in. The first two look like they're aimed towards David. The first one is, can I synchronize a full SharePoint folder of multiple documents on an iOS device without managing each document individually?
Yeah, great question. So the question is, can you manage the entire sync the entire folders? That is coming this year, first half of this year. Today, there are ways to do that automatically through policies. But from a user perspective, the ability to actually point at a folder and sync the entire folder will be coming in a few months.
Great. Next question is David using Harmony Connect during the example?
Okay, so the question about Harmony Connect is really the family of products that ties together all the different elements. So Harmony Connect is really the family of Harmony Mobile, Harmony Email, and Harmony OWA. So the ability to use all these products together is an added advantage in that changes that I make, my entire work environment, the sites that I'm able to access, the favorites that I have set up, the views that I have set up, all of those are synced between all the different versions of Harmony that I'm using. So if I start with the desktop, and then I'm a desktop user, and I move over to Harmony Mobile, and I install the product and log in, my entire work environment appears on the mobile app, and it will continue to be synchronized with all the other versions of Harmony as well. So Harmony Connect is the family of all the other products, and when purchased as a package, you get full synchronization between all the different products.
Great, thank you. Okay, we have a little bit more time. We do have some questions. Here's one. Do you support offline capabilities for documents on your mobile platforms?
Yes, so again, another great question. Similar to the previous question, we do support offline. I didn't show it in the demo, but there is a way to save documents offline. And as I mentioned, today it's individual documents. Shortly it'll be folders as well. One of the interesting use cases, if you're already asking about that, is we find a lot of companies have things like emergency documents or standard operating procedure documents that people need to have access to wherever they are, particularly in environments where they're remote. You know, there might be in things like construction or emergency services or healthcare, and we have an amazing way to automate the update of those offline documents as they change without any sort of manual handling by the individual user, so that wherever they are, they always have access to the most updated and accurate documents as needed by the organization. So that's a very important capability, and we find a lot of customers asking and enjoying that capability.
Great. Okay, another one here. How do I buy Harmony? Do I need separate licenses for each platform?
Okay, so there's several ways to buy Harmony. The way we license the product, you can get Harmony Mobile, and once you have a license to that, you can use that single license on any and all devices that you own. So if you have an iPad, an iPhone, Android device, BlackBerry, you can have one license and use Harmony on all those devices. There's a separate license for Harmony Email, so that you can use that on the desktop. And if you buy and by the way, each one of those starts at $4 per user per month. And if you buy the combined Harmony Connect package, which is a combination of both Harmony Email and Harmony Mobile, that pricing starts at $6 per user per month.
Okay, great. Thank you. Looks like we have a Rick, do you want to?
Yeah, Jenny, I think we're coming up on the top of the hour, so just want to respect everybody's time. I put up on the screen contact information for Harmony as well as Portal Solutions. Like I said before, we will post up the deck, so it will be available to you to refer back in the future. So, David, I want to thank you very much for taking the time today. I thought it was a great session. And so please feel free to everyone to contact Harmony and try the product. Like I said before, we've used it with great success internally. As far as Portal Solutions is concerned, we do offer, as part of these Digital Workplace Essentials webinars, free 2-hour workshop where we help organizations kind of accelerate their product or their digital workplace roadmap. And of course, mobile is a key part of that roadmap. So feel free to take us up on that and reach out to Portal Solutions for that. So that's our session for today. Thanks again. Be safe out in the snow, and take care, and we'll see you soon.